Well, here we are. Somehow we've gone from the awesomeness that is this.
Goodbye, Michael Knight.
To this masterpiece of dialogue and acting.
Oh, wow, bizarre!
Wow, man, what a freakazoid!
I hate to say this, but I think we've passed Knight Rider's peak. Sure, there are some amazing episodes ahead, but to go from the absolute best in KITT vs. Carr to something like The Rotten Apples is disappointing for sure. But we've committed to providing commentary on the entire series, and that's what we're going to do. Boy, I'm not really good at convincing you to stick around, am I? Well, you should. Somehow, we will get to the core of what makes this episode tick. We'll squeeze some juice out of the good parts. We'll make applesauce out of some rotten apples. Stick with us. Alright, here we go. Production 58611, The Rotten Apples. This episode was written by Gerald Sanford and Peter L. Dixon. It was directed by Bob Brawver. This episode originally aired on November 11th, 1984, Sunday at 8 p.m. It had two working titles before they settled on The Rotten Apples. The first one was The Wild Bunch, and the second working title was The Bad Apples. And in fact, in the episode, they actually refer to the group of kids as the Bad Apples, not the Rotten Apples. So I think the change to Rotten Apples happened kind of late in the production. This was the 48th episode to air, but the 49th episode to be produced. The synopsis reads as follows. Michael and KITT come to the rescue of Rebecca Hammond, a young rancher whose cattle are being stolen by a crooked sheriff and his gang. Okay, well, let's just see how this goes. Here we go. Alright, so we start with this montage scene of Michael in the insert car, the Season 3 insert car, driving along, and nothing too earth-shattering to report, except for the fact that this scene was actually filmed for much later in the episode, around the time when they're doing the climax of the episode where Michael takes out the two BIGFOOT monster trucks. And in fact, the shirt he's wearing here, this blue shirt with the red accent, was we actually see that later in the episode. Right now he's wearing, I think, a black shirt, and as far as the storyline goes at the beginning of the episode. So this scene was just placed in here, but it actually belongs at the end of the episode. And interestingly, I believe that same shirt is worn in the 19th hole. So there you go. Okay, carrying on. Oh, and also, not that this means anything, but another way to tell this is the insert car, there's always these two holes drilled in that B pillar. I'm not sure why. So here we go. So this is the actual scene. Once they finish the montage, you can see how Hasselhoff's actually wearing a black shirt here. But this is still the insert car. You'll see here the insert car, this door panel. If you look closely, you'll see that this Trans Am trim here is black instead of chrome. So the chrome trim was only on the 82 cars, the 1982 cars. But this insert car is a 1983 car. And because of that, we can see that the trim that is normally chrome in 82 is actually black. And we can also see here that this is not the Perella cloth from 1982, but the 1983 Palex cloth, or Palex cloth. I don't know how you pronounce it. COVID 84. So here's our introduction to the one of the two monster trucks. And this is Barefoot and Little Barefoot. So this one is Barefoot, and we'll see Little Barefoot at the climax of the episode. So these two trucks were owned at the time by a racing team, or by a monster truck team, Fred Schaefer and Jack Willman. They were old drag racing friends who decided to team up and build a truck that rivaled Bigfoot. And that's what this is. So they came out here, and they're from, I believe, Illinois. So they were invited out to be on the show, and that's what we see here. We do also have some behind the scenes photos that we can show you. All right, so there's the first one. This was obviously at Universal Studios. Must be. There's the trams right there. But this is the stunt car, the hardtop stunt car with Barefoot here. This photo I acquired on eBay many years ago. But this is also that, if it's from that same photo shoot, this is that hardtop stunt car. You can see the squared off overhead. You can see the round stunt wheel there with Barefoot in the background there. So here we see KITT skiing between, this is Barefoot and Little Barefoot here. This was based on the S10, the smaller pickup of the time, as you can see. So this photo was also shared. This was on the set of the Rotten Apples. And what's interesting to note is this, we are 99% sure this is actually the backup to the hero car, the one car that we own that's currently in the Peterson. This is what the dash looked like in Season 3. So let's kind of analyze it, shall we? So we can see it's got a blank dash shell in here, which is consistent because, especially by Season 3, we were never supposed to see the inside of this particular car. But take a look at this. This is very interesting. So whenever they designed the new dashboard for Season 3 with the 1 TV, they didn't sculpt a brand new dashboard. What they did was they took an existing Season 2 dashboard and they took the electronics out, they covered the overlays in tape, and then they made a mold of it. And you can see the indents of the Season 2 dashboard, the electronics right there. And you can even see the ripples in it from the tape whenever they covered it all up. So that's what you're looking at here. They simply molded the Season 2 dash and then altered it. They cut out this ledge here, made this bigger, and then there you go. There's your Season 3 and 4 dashboard. Also, if you look here, this, you see where KITT's voice box should be. Instead is just this round red light. This is the line lock light. So whenever the line lock was activated, this light would shine, a buzzer would buzz, and that would let Jack Gill and the stunt guys know that the line lock was activated. What else do we see here? We see some bracing, right, that's holding the front of the dash up that's screwed into the floor. You know, one thing we never checked whenever we, and we're going to do this as soon as we get the car back from the Peterson, we never checked the floorboards down here to find some of these mounting points, because there was a couple of these rods that were mounted to the floor. So when we pull the carpet back, we should be able to find where these were mounted, which is pretty cool. The other thing you can just barely see right here, this wire and this blue, fuzzy blue piece, this is the scanner controller right there. And what else? Over here, we see a toggle switch. Most likely the toggle, this is the toggle switch for the fog lights right there. I'm not sure why there's red on both sides of it, like a red sticker, just to make it so you could clearly see where the switch was. I don't know. All right, and finally, another really cool picture. This is the roll cage acrylic window jump car, the inside of it, which is just fascinating to see. So just take a look at what they did to the inside of this car. We do see a 1982 shifter, which does lead us to believe that this might still be the original jump car from Season 1. It's possible. We do know that by Season 4, the roll cage jump car was no longer an 82. It was actually an 83 train wreck car. So at some point, it did get switched out. But here, we still see the 82 shifter. So maybe this is still the original car. That would be amazing if it was. But what do we see here? If we zoom in, it's kind of blurry. We see a line lock bracket and line lock light there. Factory gauges are all still in place. Headlight switch is still in place. There's something written. You can't really read it. It says like air brake something. That unfortunately the light, the sunlight, blocks what it says, but something air something. And then we can see all the padding on the dash, the zip tied on, and this custom center console here. And once again, right here, this box is the scanner controller right there. And then we've got some kind of a custom jump seat right there. So, and of course the steering wheel. So this is just a fascinating fascinating look at the inside of the roll cage jump car, which is, we don't see that very often. Any other pictures? Oh, then we just have your standard press photos here of Michael with Joanna, and honestly, I don't even know their name. Is this Magic Fingers? And then, I don't know what that guy's name is. And then Hasselhoff resting at the Shaggy Buffalo Saloon. All right, so returning back to the episode at hand, we get this close-up look at the printer, right? Michael's, for some reason, needed a hard copy of all of this happening, so Kit uses his best dot matrix printer and prints that out. We still see that the insert dash, what was it, a couple episodes ago, I think it was Knights of the Fast Lane, right, where we saw the close-up of the chemical analyzer, and Halloween Night. We did a little analysis on the pods, and I believe these are exactly the same as what we saw a few episodes ago. So we can tell that the insert dash hasn't been modified, at least the switch pod hasn't been modified in those last few episodes. That's all pretty consistent. All right, so we move forward, and we've got not Rebecca Hammond. There's a stunt lady right there getting ready to jump out, and stunt man getting ready to jump out of the car there before it rolls over and crushes, before the car crushes them. This is Little Barefoot here. I was mistaken. See that you can see the S10 logo. So I thought this only showed up at the end of the episode. I don't know what I was thinking. So this is Little Barefoot running over the truck here, and you can see this might have been like its second attempt, because before the wheel even hits the windshield, the roof was already kind of buckled. But anyways. All right, so then we get this excellent shot. So this is the hardtop stunt car. And we'll go over all the cars used in this episode in a minute, but I love this shot. So, and it's Hasselhoff actually driving. So he's pulling down this road, cuts it, and then hits this bank. And he hits the front of the car with such force that it bends the fender out. Look at this. He really did a number on this car in this one scene. And look how far off that rear wheel is from the ground. I mean, that was impressive. And you can see, look at his face. He's like, oh boy. But see, then when he comes down for a landing, you can see this is all, the fender kind of bends back a little bit, but you can see it's just a mess over here. And he even dug the nose into the dirt. Somehow it didn't, doesn't look like it cracked the front nose in any way, but that was an impressive hit right there. And I'm surprised they left it in. Okay, so then we move to this scene. We're back to the insert car, and we hear Hasselhoff humming just one bar of, or he actually says the words to No Words for Love, which is from his 1984 Night Rocker album. So I guess he didn't get enough of singing his songs in Let It Be Me that he decided to just throw another one in here. All right, so then we move to Marilyn, as in Monroe. So for those of you who don't know, she was an aspiring model and actress and had a number of great roles over the years. But unfortunately, her death kind of overtook her life in a lot of ways. She was murdered in 2003 by record producer Phil Spector, and it was huge news. It was all over the news back in the early 2000s, and he was convicted, and I believe he's still in prison, and probably for life, I'm sure. But so unfortunately she is no longer around. But in this scene, she's singing the song "If You Leave Me Tonight I'll Cry," and this song was actually written by Gerald Sanford, who wrote the episode and was one of the producers on the show. All right, so then we get our introduction to the bad apples, the rotten apples, whatever, and they're coming in on this converted school bus. So the school bus changes a little bit throughout the episode. Most notably is right now we see the word bus up here. Later we see that that's painted over. But look at this. The hood already says "Look out, no brakes," and this is before their brakes were cut. So I guess maybe that was a editing error. I don't know, but they've already put "Look out, no brakes" when there actually was brakes, but then there wouldn't be. And if we look at the side, what all do we see? Right on, or sight on to say right on to Sage City, maybe right on Ranch. Terry, Tony, please knock. What else does it say? Darlene, Woo Woo, Judy. I don't know who all these people are. Julie, maybe. Some of them are people that are actually in this episode. I don't know who the other ones are. All right, so we see Michael and Kit talking here at the Shaggy Buffalo. I've never been able to figure out where this episode was filmed, where the Shaggy Buffalo and the sheriff's office are and all that stuff. So if any of you know these locations, let me know. I'd be curious to see what they look like today. But this is the hero car. We can see that the trunk is open for some reason. Don't know why. And then we move over to here, and we've got Jack Gill driving. It's supposed to be Kit driving, what is it, Diablo? I think it's Diablo. On a little joyride here. So this is a perfect time to talk about the different cars used in this episode. So let's do that. There were 6 different cars. This is the hardtop stunt car. It's used quite a bit in this episode. We've also got this one, your tan A-pillared T-top stunt car, which we've talked about in other episodes. We've got the left-hand blind drive car, which is right here. We've got, of course, the insert car right here, which we already talked about. We've got the right-hand blind drive car, which is used here. And we've got the hero car. But actually, there's 7. I forgot about this one. There's 7 cars used in this episode. This is our car, our backup to the hero car, being used here and for this ejection scene. All right, and now this is the left-hand blind drive car. And you get a great look at the dash here. We can see the Season 2 dash, the round stunt wheel. Left-hand blind drive car. All right, so here's what I was saying. So later on, we see that the bus is covered up, and it still says look out, no brakes, but actually there's now no brakes on it. And here you get a look at the other side. There's where we can see the names of the actual people in this episode. So you can see Magic Fingers, Diablo, Star is one of them, I believe. Yeah, Star, Thrasher, Joanna, Blue. Oh, Blue is the ranch hand. But anyways. All right, so now we see this. This is, like I said, the right-hand blind drive car. You can still see that the car still has its Season 2 hero overhead console, and it would keep this through the end of the series. And we can see that the T-top weather stripping is ripped there. But take a look at this. So there's an inside shot here. You can see the overhead a little bit better. You can just barely see how the top of the dash is cut off because the right-hand blind drive car, remember, they took the hero dash out and it just kind of had a shell in it. And I don't know if you can see this, but if we look down here at the bottom, you see how there's just in the shadow, there's this light rectangle. It's a little bit lighter. What that is, and I mentioned this in a previous commentary, they actually closed off the Trans Am air vents in this car. And I'm not totally sure why, and I'm not sure if they did it for when they converted to right hand or if they did it back when it was the hero car. But what this is a metal aluminum plate that was screwed in to cover up the openings for the HVAC system in the car. That's what you're looking at right there. How do I know that? Because that plate is still on the car today. All right, so then Kit micro jams the school bus. In reality, it looks like he's micro jamming the Ferrari from Knights of the Fast Lane, the Dagger DX, because they just reused this graphic. That's all right. And then we have Kit exiting the semi, and we can see that this is actually a scene filmed for Hearts of Stone in Season 1, specifically Hearts of Stone. It was the only episode to feature this exact paint job of the semi, where you can see that the knight head is smaller and down in the corner, and the stripes don't angle back up towards the end. This was a 1 episode only paint job here, so that we know that this was filmed for Hearts of Stone back in Season 1. So then we get to this point in the episode, and we can see that the bus is now unpainted. So clearly they either had 2 different vans, or they just painted this over at one point. I'm not really sure. So we're getting towards the climax of the episode, and we see Kit skiing. Once again, they intermix actual skiing that was filmed for this episode with skiing from Merchants of Death, right? They did this in an earlier episode. Which one was it that we were talking about where they were skiing and they intercut Merchants of Death? I can't remember. But here we are. That's what they're doing again. They must have really liked the way that this particular scene turned out. And then it goes back to them actually skiing on this narrow, windy road, and we can see Barefoot and Little Barefoot. And the two of them get ready to collide here. Kitt's already back down. And look at how many times they practiced the skiing. That's what all these different marks are. These are all previous takes. But what happens when two monster trucks collide at not of a great speed? Apparently they explode. Whatever. Another reason that this episode is just a little ridiculous. All right, and then we move towards the very end, and we do get this one redeeming scene, which is really cool. We see the voice box working in the hero car, which we only see this a few times throughout the series, and it doesn't 100% match up with the dialogue that KITT is saying that we hear him say, but it's pretty close, and it's pretty neat that they went through the effort to make KITT's voice box actually work in the hero car. They could have easily just made this an insert shot with the insert dash. Okay, guys, well, I know this is a short one. There's really not a lot to say about the Rotten Apples. It's just not a stellar episode, and there's really not a lot of good nuggets in it. Fortunately, the next episode we go over, Night in Disgrace, does have some really, really cool things that we're going to point out to you. So, as always, thanks so much for watching. We'll catch you next time.
And now, while we listen to Joe's selection of Knight Rider music that we received directly from Don Peake himself, we'd like to thank these Patreon supporters. Look at you guys scrolling up the screen to my right. Wait a minute, how can you tell which side is my right since you can't see me because I'm not on camera? Oh well, you know what I mean. We're featuring these fine supporters at our Knight Rider Prop Restorer level. Thank you very much for your support. And for those of you at the Knight Rider History Hunter level, we're recognizing you right now in the description. Now, if you enjoyed seeing this golden nugget of Knight Rider history being rescued from obscurity, then please consider supporting us on Patreon. Your support would empower us to bring you even more of these historical nuggets. We are the Knight Rider Historians. Till next time, take care, everybody. Bye-bye.